In a world of boring talk, misinformation, and mindless chatter, two superheroes emerge from the ashes.
Ben, is this asses or ashes?
Bring the action.
Happy hour with Ben and Alexander. Pull up a chair. Raise a glass. And join in the chat. It's talk radio with jazz hands.
Oh my God, you had to say that.
Yes.
You know how we love doing New Hollywood, Old Hollywood.
We're definitely taking it back with the legends on this one.
Victoria Price, daughter of the legend Vincent Price.
Is calling in to talk to us?
Yeah,
Right on.
she wrote a biography, Vincent Price, biography from a daughter's view.
Biography from a daughter's view.
I'm very polite. Hello, daughter's view. So excited to talk to her. You know, I'm a huge Vincent Price fan.
You like that old Hollywood.
I do. On a Friday night, even better.
Ew, I don't even understand what that means.
That means an old gentleman pays your pay my bill.
No, keep moving.
Anyway,
hello, caller. What's your name? Who is this?
This is Victoria Price.
Yay!
Wow, I wish everybody greeted me like that every day.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We are brilliant. Thank you so much for calling in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
Victoria, I am chomping at the bit. I cannot tell you what a fan I was of your father and your book, and just you keeping the Vincent Price legacy is so special to me. I.
Love that.
Yes. What I love about the book is that it's such a candid telling of your father's life as his daughter, but you really kept kind of like all the facts. You didn't sugarcoat it, but it wasn't like some, one of these Hollywood tell-alls and all that. It was so respectful while talking about some of the things that we've heard, and also some of things that people have not heard, like his past on Broadway, the whole Red Scare, which he was a part of.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where to begin.
I know. Now maybe we should let you talk instead of Alexander tell everyone. What was the inspiration behind
you're
putting?
making me feel great. I'm just happy listening to you.
Oh, thank you.
No, what was the inspiration behind putting the book out there in that format?
It's an interesting thing because when my dad was dying, a friend of mine suggested that he and I write a book about art together because that was our mutual passion. And my brother is a writer and is 22 years older than I am, and so at that point had a much bigger, longer career than I did. And he had been approached about doing a biography of my dad, and brought that to my dad. And my dad said, I don't want to do a biography. I don't want anyone to do a biography of me. But the idea of talking about art together was something that really appealed to him. So he immediately said yes, which shocked the hell out of me. And I had a great job at the time where basically I worked from 6 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, and then I went and I wrote in my studio in the afternoons. So during that period of time, 3 afternoons a week, I would go up and we would, plop down on his bed, and I put a tape recorder between us, and we just talked about art, which had always been our common ground. And the idea was that I was going to do this book about his life in the visual arts. But after he died, people said, why don't you turn that into a biography? And I don't really think kids should be their parents' biographers. It's not like we have a lot of objectivity,
Right.
So, but then I thought, well, if I don't do it, no one really will capture that part of my dad's life. Nobody really knows that part of my dad's life as intimately as I do. And I thought, well, he was 51 years old when I was born, and I lived with him for 10 years, but then he married my stepmother. So I have some kind of, at least more distance than maybe some kids.
Right.
Plus, I adored my dad. So, I was able to see the ways in which he and I maybe had sort of had too high expectations of one another and failed each other in a way. But mostly I adored my dad, so I felt like I'll give it a shot. And the most amazing thing was I interviewed about 250 people who knew him well. And no one had a negative thing to say about him. And not just because I was his daughter. He was genuinely loved. I mean, to be an actor, to be in that profession, and to be as loved as he was is really amazing to me. And as I've been reading about the incredibly sad news about Philip Seymour Hoffman, this amazing actor, I'm really struck by the same thing, that how loved he was, how beloved he was, and that's not always the case, in a profession that depends in some ways on ego to be that kind of a person.
We can only all aspire to get to that level. I mean, it's just amazing.
And the things that I've read about your father was that he was such a professional. His career had ups and downs. You were a little girl when he was really at his heyday in Hollywood, when the horror film genre was at its peak.
The golden days of Hollywood, yeah.
But then in the 70s and 80s, his roles kind of diminished, and he did some spoof films. But what I've heard is that no matter what role or what film, no matter what the budget was, he approached it as such a consummate professional, and that garners respect, and that's what distinguishes an actor from Amanda Bynes.
Oh, very well said, sir.
No, you're dead right. To show up and be somebody who could have fun on a set, but never, ever steal the limelight from your co-star. Always show up prepared, always show up wanting to do the work and make sure everybody had an incredible experience. I think one of the movies that he had the hardest time doing was a movie that was called I think The Witchfinder General in the UK, and The Conqueror Worm here. And the director on that film was this brilliant young guy, but he wanted to push my dad out of his comfort zone. And my dad found it really, really difficult working with this guy. He respected him. He knew what he was trying to do, but it was really tough. And even during the middle of all of that, they're filming somewhere in the middle of nowhere in England. My dad went out, bought all the ingredients, and made dinner for the entire cast and crew one night.
Wow.
80 people. Who does that?
That's incredible.
And he was an amazing chef.
guy.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a Vincent Price cookbook.
Is it really?
Yes. Yes.
That is amazing. That's incredible.
And with the huge art.
Yeah, last week on USA Today published an article of the 10 most popular out-of-print books of any kind. Madonna's book, Sex, is the number one book on that list.
I'm in there somewhere.
Number 9 is my parents' cookbook.
Oh, I love that.
That is awesome.
Can you imagine cooking in the kitchen with the Vincent Price and the knife comes out? It's like, oh my.
Just adds to the character of it, right?
What are some of the myths that you'd like to dispel about your father?
Well, I'm always asked, was he as scary in real life as he was in the movies? No, not at all. And when I was a kid, actually, he did this commercial for Monster Vitamins.
Nice.
And the premise of it was that he was this really mean man who kept his kids in the basement, but he was a nice enough dad to at least give them vitamins,
The vitamins?
which he said, through a trap door. And for years, people asked me, does your dad keep you in the basement? No. Another myth is that, he was always so elegant in the movies. He was always wearing those smoking jackets and ascots. And in his real life, he was, a very casual dresser. I mean, he could wear something the night before and just pull it off the laundry heap completely rumpled and wear it the entire next day.
That's brilliant.
Victoria, one of my favorite photos on the Vincent Price website is it's you and your father, and he's kind of in jeans, sneakers, and kind of
Chilling.
like a polo with it.
Chilling.
And then you're holding a big Snoopy, which I'm a huge Snoopy freak, and that's so
Slightly
cute.
creepily so that he's that infatuated with Snoopy. But your picture is absolutely adorable.
It's adorable. So, just briefly before we go, talk a little bit about the Vincent Price Museum, which I don't think a lot of people know about.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing thing. My dad was invited out to East Los Angeles College, which is in Monterey Park in East LA, in the 40s, and he became really involved with the art department there. And in the 50s, he was invited out to give a graduation speech, and my mom went with him. And my mom was British, but had been raised all over the world, in China, in Canada, and the UK. And she, as my dad was speaking, looked around the audience. And for years, UCLA and LA County Art Museum, where my dad was on both boards, had been wanting my parents to donate some pieces to the collection. My mom said, this is where we should donate it. This is where it's needed. So they started in the late 50s with 90 pieces from their collection, and over their lifetimes donated 2,000 pieces.
Wow.
And now it's an incredible museum, and the mission of the museum is to show underrepresented artists and that doesn't mean not famous artists. It's just artists who I mean, these are artists, some of whom who have had shows at LA County or other major museums. But on the whole, the mission is to really represent the community, which is largely Latino, Asian American, and artists from the community, and artists who perhaps, you know, haven't had such an easy time getting museum shows. It's an incredible building. 3 years ago, we opened, I think 2 to 3 years ago, this incredible LEED certified, absolutely beautiful building, and it is kind of the centerpiece of the arts out in East LA, and we are really proud of it.
Right on.
We are so enchanted by having you call in. Will you please come back and visit us again and again?
Absolutely. You're so sweet to have me on, and thank you
it's
so
an
much
honor.
for promoting my dad's legacy.
Okay, so real fast, tell our listeners where they can
find everything Vincent Price.
Yeah, we just started the website, so it's www.vincentprice.com, and please come visit. And I go around the country talking about my dad and going to horror conventions, and we post when those things are happening on the site as well.
Awesome. And also on Facebook, you can like Vincent Price. When you're coming to LA, you're coming in the
to
studio.
Chill with us. Thank you so very much for calling in this evening.
Thank you for having me, and I will definitely come in when I'm in LA.
Awesome.
Yay.
Done and done.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Enjoy happy hour. Enjoy the rest of happy hour.
Oh, that was incredible.
I
my God, we're going to keep it high octane.